Josh Warrington defeats Kid Galahad on a 12-round split decision. Now, first thing I want to get out of the way is I didn't actually score this fight as I watched it. I watched it throughout, watched the full 12 rounds. By the 12th round, and by the end of this fight, me personally, in my opinion, I felt that Kid Galahad did enough to win, but I felt that it was close because I think Kid Galahad, he done a little bit of spoiling, he done a little bit of holding, done some good switch hitting, which I think really did appear to kind of throw Josh Warrington for six because he came out in the first round southpaw and within the first opening 20 odd seconds of the fight landed a straight left, which didn't buzz Warrington, but caught him off balance. And he was very kind of hesitant from then on because he couldn't really understand the angles. Kid Galahad was, throwing these little pot shots, was slipping, was spoiling. And whenever Josh Warrington got close, he held. He was warned an awful lot for holding. Early on in the fight, like in the second round, I think that the warnings he was getting were justified because it seemed like he grabbed Josh Warrington in a headlock in the second round and just would not let go. And the referee intervened, gave Kid Galahad a warning, which, that was fair due because that was an excessive hold, and that was, more like MMA than it was boxing. But the rest of the holding, I didn't necessarily see a problem with it. There was some clinches that were initiated by Josh Warrington, which he held on for a little bit of time, which, the referee didn't seem to pick up on. As I said, by the end of this fight, I thought it was a close fight, but I thought that Kid Galahad just nicked it. Now, I'm very familiar with that saying that when you're in the champion's backyard, you really do have to take that title. You have to really go and claw that title away. You can't just go and do the bare minimum in each round, expect to get it, because that's not what happened. The judges' scorecards were 115-113 for Kid Galahad. Now, I wouldn't have no problem with that scorecard. The other two scorecards were 116-113 for Josh Warrington, which meant there was an even round in there, but it was, you could argue that, that was alright. Then it was a 116-112 score, so one judge only was able to give Kid Galahad 4 rounds. Now, I thought he won more than 4 rounds, but to be honest with you, there were some kind of rounds where it could have went either way, Even if you look at the first round, me personally, I thought that was a Kid Galahad round, but definitely there was some cases you could be made that Josh Warrington won that round. Josh Warrington didn't look at his peak in this fight. He didn't look as good as he did against Carl Frampton and Lee Selby. I think it was just a case of an opponent. Like, Kid Galahad is a very, very good boxer. He's a very skilled boxer. He switch hits. I think that the biggest thing Kid Galahad had that Frampton and Selby didn't have was his physical strength. Kid Galahad was clearly the physically stronger of the two in there, and he was clearly more physically strong than Carl Frampton or Lee Selby. And Josh Warrington, I think that caught him a bit by surprise. And Kid Galahad, he used his strength to good effect. He was boxing very well. Josh Warrington's timing, at least early on in the fight, was very, very off. I think the switch hitting did kind of throw him for 6. Personally, I thought Kid Galahad did enough to win this fight. I'm not going to say it was a robbery, because a robbery is when one fighter clearly wins and doesn't get the decision. If you had Josh Warrington winning this fight, that's fine. No problem with that. I just felt that Kid Galahad did enough to nick it. And, I kind of wondered why, because now with BT Sport, you always get the scorecard. I was wondering why they weren't showing their scorecards, they weren't giving scorecards, because personally, I kind of felt that maybe BT Sport kind of thought that Josh Warrington was behind, as did I. And the stadium was very hush, was very subtle, and as I said, by the end of this fight, I thought that Kid Galahad did enough to win. Obviously, I have no problem at all with Josh Warrington getting the decision, but personally, I thought that Kid Galahad did enough to win. The fight itself was scrappy at times. There wasn't a lot of action. I think I kind of expected a little bit more in this fight than it was, but it was what it was. It's the best way I can describe it. So Josh Warrington moves on. I do think that against someone like an Oscar Valdez, although there is talk about him moving up to featherweight, he may look a bit more spectacular because Oscar Valdez will come straight at him, as opposed to a Kid Galahad who will just try and box and use lateral movement and switch it up a bit, switch hit. So I do think against someone like a Oscar Rivas, he could look a bit better. But who knows? Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you thought of the fight. How did you score? It'd be interesting to see how people had this fight, if they scored, how they had it. Me personally, thought Kid Galahad did enough to win at the end. Let me know what you think down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, I will talk to you after.